call the public hearing to order. Notice is hereby given the town of Massena will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 26th, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. in Massena Town Hall to take public comment regarding a proposed local law number 1-2/2016 approving the tax cap override as a local law to override the tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law 30-1 of the 2017 budget. Information regarding the proposal is available at the Town Hall for inspection. The regular meeting will immediately follow the public hearing. Actually, it's a special meeting will immediately follow the public hearing, but that's okay. All parties are invited, obviously. Anyone here to comment on the proposed local law? What this will do is allow the tax cap this year that established by our friends in Albany who know everything about everything is less than 1%. I think it's 0.67, 0.68. They believe our tax increase should not be allowed to be any greater than that, and if we want to have a tax increase greater than 0.68%, then we need to pass a local law overriding the tax cap. So that is what this is about, and that is what the public hearing is for. There's no comment? Any comments from the board on this? Okay, I would accept the motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor of closing the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Abstention, motion carries. All right. Now we'll get on to the budget. And we are talking about the rescue squad tonight primarily. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. Thank you for your service to our community. We appreciate that. Where do you want to start? Roger, you want to start us off?
Well, I think that the budget that we prepared this year is less than last year. And I made the budget originally like John McCauley asked, and it wasn't totally satisfactory, so I've redone it as we have in the past. With that, we have the same budget, and we have estimated an ambulance replacement for $220,000. Since then, I'm basing on what I got in the last couple of days. We can probably do it for 200. The AEDs are needed for the boats and the vehicles, and the patches are the same, so you don't have to do dual patches at the hospital or anything.
That's correct.
You know, because you have a patch. I'm calling it a patch where the electrodes hook up.
The electrodes are the same as what we have for our Life Pack 15s.
Okay.
So that's an expenditure that we don't have to get extra.
There was a question on about whether we could do the same as the town and, you know, do it as a group. I think that it depends on whether the town wants the ones with the patches that match, because we have the unit.
Well, you know, that's actually bring up a good point too, Roger. We need new ones in the town hall because the ones we have are obsolete. There's no updated.
They're already here.
The new ones are here. I understand that. I guess it's a moot point, but my question is this: we're going to equip the boat with AEDs. How long before they're obsolete, and do we need separate ones for the boat? Do we have duplication of all gear in the boat?
No, the boats are separate. They don't have the heart monitor, but these will be more of for an emergency situation on the boat. If we rescue somebody that's in the water and they go into cardiac arrest, we can quickly put that on them and use them. And then when we get the patient to the shore, we can switch them over real quick, and there won't be a delay in care.
Okay, so we don't have every piece of equipment you have in a rig, not major pieces of equipment you have in the rig, are all those on the boat duplicate or not?
No,
So do you take, when you go out in the boat, do you take equipment from the rig?
we would, at this time, yes.
Well,
Except, well, the monitor, if we had a heart monitor, we would have to take that with us, yes,
Okay,
to shock the person.
right,
But with an AED, we just, work the patient and then bring them to the shore, load them up on the ambulance and switch everything over.
okay. And they're not a huge expense, I understand it, but my question is, can we use the same AED from the rig as well as the boat, or do we need two, I guess is what I'm asking.
we'll have
At
the
this
same
time.
ideas, right?
We have basic EMTs that are allowed to use AEDs.
Okay,
The AED that we have now is combined with the heart monitor.
okay,
Until our new protocols come in, the AEMT is not allowed to put the heart monitor pads on until, because it's regarded as an ALS
okay, so
equipment.
in this case, the AEDs will be separate from the other piece of
Correct.
equipment
Yeah,
and can be used by more people.
correct.
I got you, okay. That clarifies one thing in my head. Only one. Okay. So, we're proposing, what page is that, Nancy?
On the other item was the
Okay.
paving, if we had the money, and now there's been discussion about doing a sealant for a
Right.
couple of years, and then do it. I guess that's up to you, but if it was my house, I don't spend a lot of money and then throw it away. And I assume that spending $6,000 here, if we can get the village to use their equipment and buy the material, would be a lot less than $45,000, and you get it done. But I say it's up to you
I'll
people.
sorry, get back to you, Frank?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
I don't know if this will help or not, but we were just down at the building and we were discussing this part of the budget. And we all feel that it would be, excuse my language, but crazy to just put a sealant down and then 2 years later come over and then resurface it. There's cracks, there's holes, I mean, at one side of the parking lot, the blacktop is coming off. It's broken away from the corners
They can only be plowed in one
and
direction.
it can only be plowed one
If they
way.
plow the opposite direction,
Who
they're going to.
plows that, Frank, you do? Nope.
Nope, we have a contract.
They have a contract.
Do you have a contractor that plows it?
Mhm. And if they were to swing around and come back towards East Orvis Street, they would tear up the whole blacktop.
Even if it was sealed.
Even
There's
if it was
that much of
sealed.
a gap.
There's gaps in the parking lot like this.
You're
That,
talking way over by the boat though. You're
Yeah.
talking way over. I was over there. You're
that,
talking,
yeah, well, where
where
it
it was
begins
added
from
on.
the blacktop
Right.
The
over,
corner of the building over.
Right.
That probably hasn't been resurfaced.
Second
in
of all,
30 years.
I don't want them plowing the other way anyhow. Why would you wanna plow it towards East Orvis Street?
well, it's just if they had to do something to,
Right, I
Correct.
understand, but
Correct.
there's no sense of plowing that way anyhow. You want snow
Correct.
pushed back so that when the ambulance goes on East Orvis Street, you have clear views.
right,
I mean, we're not experts, I don't know if any of you guys are experts. I went to our experts, everybody seals their driveway, at home or wherever, so, because of longevity of the,
well, I understand that, but.
so what,
I mean,
so
if
what
it
you're
was-
saying is, I don't know if you guys are experts, so what you're saying is, don't do anything for 2 years, then do it.
No, they wanna seal it, they wanna seal the top, or is that what
Well, I
I'm
wanna
understanding?
fill the
There's
cracks,
gonna be okay,
which is what's done on highways and
Everywhere.
roads.
And
To
then,
extend the life of the road, of the blacktop. And that's a valid current use of sealant and, or, you know, the rubber.
That's what I did in my driveway.
okay,
There could be some patching done where, towards the other end where it's coming up, it could be repaired.
I
patching
know, but
made.
if it's bucking now, will they have to dig it up and put in?
No.
So then,
You can patch that.
Can I ask Frank a question? find out the village will do it for X number of dollars and your material is X number of dollars, and I'm assuming it's maybe half of what we're estimating, now we're saying 6,000 to 20,000 or 18,000. Would that look at it and say, well, if we can do it for that kind of money, then that's a different story than,
Yeah, obviously, we would haul, the town would haul the material.
right,
You get it on state bid,
right,
and the only thing you would end up having to do is you would have to pay for, obviously, our time and equipment. You'd have to pay for the product, and you'd have to pay the village something, whatever they wanna charge you to pay.
right. But all I'm saying is, we estimated 45, and now I'm saying maybe it's 18. I don't know yet, because we haven't got the final numbers. But, you know, I can see 6,000 versus 45, but I'd say if it's 6,000 versus 18, I may look at
How
not,
does the village figure in?
They're gonna pave it, so you pay them for their services.
pay man hours.
We as a town would use our trucks to haul,
No, I
purchase,
understand, but when we did the other parking lot, what do we, how did the contractor did it?
Yeah,
yes.
So how did we end up with the village? How'd they end up in the equation, I guess, so I can understand?
I asked if they could provide, because it's cheaper than,
You think it'd be cheaper than a
They
private
would be
contractor?
cheaper than hiring a
They have
contractor.
a paper.
I understand that. I
They'd be
understand.
cheaper than a contractor.
Okay, all right, that's the rationale.
Just like,
Okay.
you know, just
I didn't
like
understand
counties.
how that, what the rationale was, okay, now I understand, all right. All right. What do you expect the expenditures will be this year, Roger? We're at 272,581 right now.
I can't, but
What do you expect the expenditures will be at, we're at 272,581 right now,
Where you see that?
right, and I,
in this sheet.
3/4, yeah, I'm saying we're gonna be under budget.
Yeah, well, that's,
I
what I have here, and I have some copies if you wanna see it. I've got the budget year 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yep,
And last year was an unusual year because revenue was down, but it was also interesting in that our expenses were
yeah,
140 less than the year before.
right, because we said, don't spend anything unless it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, so, but we're on track, we shouldn't, at this point that I see, meet the 452 that we're budgeted. We should be under budget, I would think significantly,
Yeah.
right?
I'm saying we should be.
Okay, so then, why is the 17 budget proposal the same as 16 if we're gonna be under, and we're
Because
still?
I added the 1,700 calls, that's the only
I
thing
remember you
that
saying
raised.
different.
On the significant number was the 1,700 calls, and I don't know if it's gonna be 1,500 or,
Right, I understand that part, and we talked a little bit about that. But so if we get 1,700 calls, our expenses don't go up accordingly, right? If the calls go up?
hopefully, but not, it's still an average, okay? Right now, I'm looking at like 40% of what we bill that we achieve. You know, you're not achieving, some years is higher than others.
Well, achieving as far as the revenue of what, based on what
Yeah,
we're billing?
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we're not getting 100% of what we bill, I understand that part.
It's 40.42 right now, what we've received.
No, right, and I understand that part. It's that typically, in your budget, any budget, right, you have the expenses and the revenues, there's an offset. Hopefully
Right.
they break even.
Yeah.
And my question is, if our expenses are down, and our
Then
revenue is gonna be consistent, right, similar to this year, for example, then
Hopefully,
should our expenditures for next year's budget be more reflective of the expenditures this year as compared to balancing out the total expenditures?
yeah, I'd expect
Is
that,
that
and
right?
I'd hope that we could put some money into our fund for the ambulance and equipment that we got like $64,000 right now, I believe. No, it's not 64.
74.
It's 74, right?
44 in the class savings, plus there's over 400,000 in the current cash in the billing account.
Okay, but
So you're talking over $500,000
I'm
in
saying,
those three
I'm
accounts.
saying we had like 200 and something, we paid an ambulance. So now we're gonna buy an ambulance and hopefully a crash truck, and we can do that with a 6-year, obligation instead of a 3 like we've had. I'm hoping that if possible, we could get 20,000 for each item or 40,000 to put into this fund this year on the expenditures or on the revenues that's over and above our expenditures, so they would be money left over which normally would go into this fund. And by doing that, we can save approximately $9,000 on interest.
Yeah, I just think to project $400-some thousand in expense next year is a greater expenditure than we're having this year. And I haven't seen an increase, why there would be that increase. In other words, say, we're at 273 now, say we come in at 320 for expenditures by the end of the year, which is probably generous, right, with a quarter left. Then we expect 452,000 in revenue. So next year, why are we expecting the same amount of revenue? It's great that we expect the same amount of revenue, why are we expecting more expense than what we're spending this year?
Like anything else, the ambulance, I can't guarantee how many calls because I don't know who's sick. So I've gotta estimate, and that's what I tried to do, is estimate, and it doesn't mean that we have a budget that we spend every line item totally. We haven't never done that. So, you know.
Well, a couple of years we actually exceeded budget, in
Yeah.
12 and in 14. And then that wasn't the year when the billing was off, right? That was 15. So we actually went 44,000 over in 12 and 8,000 over in 14. So we did spend all the money we budgeted that year. And that's,
Yeah, and we probably needed it. I mean, we're not trying to spend money just to spend money. I'm trying to give you a budget that's realistic, and the fact is, with the resource recovery and this budget equals 0 as far as your cost to the town.
oh, no doubt about that.
Okay.
And that's actually a huge benefit, no doubt about that either.
This budget is extremely tough to do because the unknown factor of the amount of calls. And the unknown factor of medical equipment cost that increases constantly, and those guys will know that.
Right.
Obviously, these are only projections, and it looks like we're gonna come to the plus side, which is great. Obviously, you guys didn't overspend, and we're on the right track. If we can slide the ambulance in there, those AEDs are a must. I support the AEDs on all those boats, absolutely a must. I don't care if, and I hope you never use them. I agree with buying those. I'd like to see this, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Joe, but it's all around projection of calls and how much narcotics they use, that's expensive, help me out with that, that's
Yeah,
expensive to replace.
All the narcotics,
Right.
all the ALS drugs, everything that,
And-
I mean, the cost may go up this year,
Right.
coming up. So for everything that we have now, the drugs that we paid for today, there could be $100 more next year.
Right.
That said, we also need new turnout gear for everybody that is for the crash truck extrication gear for OSHA. We also need gear for regular medical staff. We have to have a special kind of uniform so that they're bloodborne pathogens.
Right.
All that stuff, the cost from last year, it could be $50 to $100 more than what it was this last year.
but that's in here, that's in the budget.
So,
But
And my point is only.
I understand your point, Joe, I do understand your point. At the end of the year, if we have a plus to the factor, I think Roger brought up a good point. Can we transfer some of that to a payment, extra payment or two somewhere to save interest down the road? So if we project 1,700 calls, if we do have a plus side, we should, at the end of the year, sit down with that money, move that money to pay maybe extra payment here and there to save interest. So I don't think we wanna start cutting, I think what you're trying to say is how can we project the increase in expense but only project the revenue at the same? Is that what you're saying? But we
No.
can't project that.
No, the difficulty is projecting the number of calls, right? That's the total unknown in this whole thing.
Right.
it's,
And
yeah,
the medical expenses.
Okay, but we pick X number of figures as what we think is a safe projection of the number of calls,
Right.
and we base our revenue on that, correct? What is the connection between, what is the increase in expense in those number of calls compared to the revenue? So we know X number of calls is gonna generate whatever in revenue. Why do our expenses automatically meet that revenue?
Maybe I can simplify it. Let's just talk turnout gear. We, in the emergency service, see an increase of probably, on the low side, 15% per set of turnout gear.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, that's a projection. So
Right.
all this is a tough budget because you're not taking taxpayers' dollars in on a hard number and then expending it. It's a hard, I understand what you're saying, I do, but it's hard to project the increases. So, because let's say, NFPA comes out with another standard that we all gotta meet.
mhm.
There's an increase, you know?
Yeah,
That's where the compact
It's
money
really
is.
like any business. You don't know what your sales are gonna be, you don't know what your costs are gonna be.
Yeah, but you should be able to go on a history.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And that's what we've got, is a 5-year history, you know, and.
Well,
No matter how you look at it, EMS is becoming a business, and it is a business now. And you're, like you said, business is going, your expenditures are gonna be higher every year. So,
what if we lower it and then we have this number? Now, where do we get the money
If we lower,
if we lower the budget?
I don't wanna lower the revenue projections, if you think the revenue projections are solid, let's leave those alone. My question is, why do the expenses have to balance out with the revenue projection? Because we don't know that there's gonna be that increase in expenses.
Well,
And the number of calls there isn't a formula to tell me if the number of calls matches our revenue, that the expense related with those calls is the same as the revenue. Am I explaining
I
that?
hear what you're saying, and it's close. I mean, if you look at this, if
have
we
fixed
had
costs, right?
1,700,
We have some fixed costs.
right,
We have PAB, we've got the cost of the EMTs, those are all baked in, fixed costs, can't change those.
lights, heat,
Yep,
water,
all the utilities, all that stuff's are baked in.
training,
The turnout gear is new, but also depending on how many new guys we have, right, how many new people we have,
Another projection.
yep.
right? And then you probably have to replace some turnout gear that's worn out.
the turnout gear is an OSHA standard, so it has to be, we
Right.
have to get
No, I
that.
understand that. Sorry about that. You should have.
But, so even though it's projected at a zero balance, and the town you projected to use part of that,
Right.
what does it matter if we sit down at the end of the year, and if we have a surplus, balance it out where, I know the grudge match has been, it's their money, our money, their money, our money, every year we get this. But if it balances out of zero, you projected to use X amount of dollars about it, if we have surplus at the end, can we do that? If we have the surplus, can we
We have
transfer it
before.
and make?
Well, the whole idea is, I think, what Joe's trying to get across is that, okay, you expect, let's just use round numbers, 400,000 in revenue.
Mhm.
Why do you have to expend 400,000? So.
Show me the
what it-
cost.
What it is saying is, you get to spend 400,000. And if you get, in other words, if you get 450,000, you're supposed to only spend 400. But it's almost like saying, you have 400,000 to spend, that's your budget. Now, I'm not saying that it will always be that way, but it has actually exceeded what their budget was. So if you figure that your actual expenses are maybe 300,000, so you budget 300,000 in expenses and you only budget 300 in revenue. Say you make 500,000 in revenue, you got 200,000 extra.
Right.
That is always kept in the billing account, at which point at the end of the year, and they always budget that they want money transferred into an equipment fund. If there's excess money in there and we can afford it, that's what we do. We do transfer that money. If we don't, it sits in there. And it's actually town fund balance, and it helps our financial statement.
Correct, that's what I'm saying.
Because you have to look at the best interests of the taxpayers of the town of Massena. So, and we were criticized for that, because when they didn't bill, it affected our bottom line. So, just because we got the revenue does not mean we spend it, is what I think we're saying.
Sure,
So this
yeah.
budget is not really, this is not an actual budget, because if you take 1 year and you're just adding 5% every year to come up with a number, so that you have something to put in there, that, you know, we're looking at actual numbers and they're not anywhere near these figures. So I think Joe is just saying, give me an accurate expense, we'll match it with revenue, and if there's more that comes in, good. I
Right.
mean, it stays in the
Well-
billing account.
Well, isn't that what Tom was saying, to take that extra revenue and put it into another payment for an ambulance? Or
Maybe.
anything like that?
Maybe,
So
but
that
not
we can,
necessarily.
instead of stretching it out to 6 years, we can, maybe 4 years instead of 6 years.
But then you become cash poor if you do that. If you're constantly trying to pay ahead, I mean, the whole idea of financing things is so that you have good cash flow. That you're not gonna pay something off and now you have no money.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
can
there's no
understand that, if you
advantage.
have fixed, yes, I get that, if you have a fixed income. But if they only run 1,300 calls, we're in trouble. We are absolutely in 100% trouble.
Well, I have to say that they've never been in trouble. Every single year, they've done very well.
When we see something where we start zero every year, if we're seeing the calls are down, then we mandate that only emergency spending. So, I mean, it's a wash. We try our best to do it. As far as the budget, I agree with you that from 17, 18 up to 22 is a percentage. But if you look at 16 versus 17, that percentage isn't there this year that was shown last year. It's less.
I don't see it, because.
Well, I don't show.
16 is 494 and 17 is 502.
No, it was 502 last year, 502, 239. And this year it's 509, 959 because of the 1,700 calls, and that's what I
Oh,
don't
because you
know.
brought down, see, on the one I have, 2017, where it says subtotal, it says 494, 739
For this year.
for 2016.
Subtotals, but the total for last year was 502, 239.
And 2017 is 509.
Yes.
How did you figure you went down?
We didn't. We said it went down on the 208 to 206 for the operating expenses.
You said
And-
16 was less, 17 is less than 16. I don't see it.
It isn't. It's more because of the 1,700 calls. If I'd have put in
Okay, but you
1,600
said,
calls, it would have been less.
okay, you said
Right.
17 was less than 16.
What
At
I
least I
said-
understood you to say.
What I said was, Nancy, is if you looked at last year's budget
Yep.
and looked at 2017,
Mhm.
it's greater than this year's 2017.
You mean the budget you submitted last year that showed 2017
Yes,
on it?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I thought you were talking about the
No.
one you submitted this year.
No,
Okay. Gotcha.
okay?
So what made, in the years 2012, 13, and 14? What was the extra expense?
I'd have to go back and look, no, I don't
See,
have
but
that.
but I think
So-
that's, go ahead, Sam.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to get to the point.
Right,
What
no,
would-
but I probably can look at it and tell you the line items where this is. Total numbers, to me, I wanna know if we expended more on, say, medical supplies. That may have been a big one.
I just wonder if that was
Vehicle
cyclical.
was a big one. Vehicle, I know that one year we had a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
cost for vehicles.
Yep.
Also, the building costs have gone up and down, you know, that's kind
Yeah.
of a cycle.
Yeah.
So, that's some of the ones, but I can't say without giving it, but I
Yeah.
can give you a
I just
report.
wonder if that was cyclical, if something coming around again that would project a higher
Sitting here
expense
tonight,
as
I
well.
can't tell you that.
Yeah, or will it be close to what we've been, you know, for the last couple of years? Yeah. And all in all, I mean, our budget's to project a tax rate. If we project something that's less for the rescue squad, and it goes over, hopefully the calls cover that. If not, I mean,
Yeah,
I
then you
guess
gotta
it's
foot
not
bill.
gonna change our tax rate, I mean, unless we projected you're gonna need $100,000, we'd have to project our tax rate for $100,000 more to cover your costs, so I don't know what the argument really is. I mean, why don't we have it at, a budget similar to the trend, and then if you go over, you go over, what difference does it really make?
I guess that's my point, right? So look at 15, for example, right? We
Yeah, look.
budgeted
I don't have
427,
15.
our actual expenses were 316.
I don't have that.
We don't know this year? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Expenses,
There's
2012
other
was
copies here, that's what I said.
444,000, I won't count this, the other, whatever. 2013 was 451,000, 14 was 454,000, 15 was 316, and then, 16 we're up to 272, so you could project maybe 320 or
That's what I
something like
figured,
that.
320, right.
Right,
330.
but if,
120,000 less than, you know, previous 3 years.
right, but if you give me a day, well, give me till the weekend, because I got something going on, but I can tell you every line item what it was, not just the total, so you can see what's,
Yeah, and honestly, Roger, I don't wanna do line by line. I don't think that's why we're here. I'm just trying to get a realistic figure for expenses. And let's get a solid figure for expenses. And if it goes up, then I wanna see why it goes up. Last year's, we ended up with a surplus last year, right, which is a good thing.
yeah, but we
$2,000.
shortened, we really put a screeching halt to everything down there.
Well, right, I understand that, but this year you're gonna come in the same, Roger. Your expenses last year were 316, you're gonna come in maybe 320, 325 this year. So you're pretty damn close.
Okay, so,
So there might be excess, so I mean, either take that money and set it aside for a year that's bad,
yeah,
or you put it towards, then when you build that capital up, then you use that to pay down a vehicle, so, I don't know, I mean, we should be somewhere in the norm of what we're doing now, if there's extra, we'll figure that out at the end of the year.
I'd rather be high, showing the revenue and everything, than I would be low, and then if you had the revenue,
I know it's human nature, quite honestly, and we see it in other departments of the town. If X is budgeted for expense, X is spent.
it hasn't been true with us, except, like you said, for 3 years.
Yeah. It's just a number, really,
Yeah.
it's just a number. You know, you're gonna do the best you can to,
Right.
you know, run the department, and
And if we
hopefully
don't,
there is money left at the end, and we can save that for a rainy year, I guess, if you
and
wanna
if
call
we
it
don't
that.
break even, we've got surplus in
Yeah.
the
Right.
accounts, and,
Yeah.
but, what,
Well, I guess I built the budget this year like we have every year. I didn't realize
with the
that
built-in
there was
increase,
this.
yeah, like you have every year.
Yeah, you should be having an increase. I mean, your electric costs are gonna go up, right, with the rate structure change? That should I'm not sure what your electric bills are, but I'm sure that you're over the,
We were just talking, sorry, something was just brought up to me that, and if we had leased our heart monitors out sure what we're doing yet, but we may need to get some new heart monitors.
And that's not in the budget?
And I don't know, I don't know if that's not in the budget or not, but that's a surprise expenditure. We don't know what's gonna happen with them.
Right. and
What
just-
we've
just-
normally
well,
done is, if it wasn't in the budget, I come down and present
Sure.
why this is the case. We look at the revenues and say yes or no, because there may be something that breaks and we can't second guess it
Yeah.
today.
I don't think that
Go
the,
ahead.
I've actually got an example too. Think about the new cars that are coming out with the new metal. The equipment that we have been informed that our equipment won't cut that metal. So within the next 3 years, that's another thing that's going to have to be updated. I mean, stuff comes down the tube all the
Sure,
time.
right, and I can appreciate that, and those things, if we know it's coming, we need to build it in the budget, so, but I'm just seeing a percentage increase in expenses when we don't know that that's gonna happen, we can't predict every expense,
Right.
but most of our expenses are pretty
Right.
pretty similar year to year.
If I'd have known what he just said about the budget for the equipment, we'd have put some money in the budget for that. I didn't hear that until
Well,
just now.
that was
It comes up
just,
quick.
right,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
right, but,
Well, that's why I was asking why the
24, 48
change.
hours.
right,
from the previous 3 years to the
That's,
last year and this year, what was the
Just
change?
like you said, it's,
So you said that
That
the
would
lease,
change.
or is it something you pay up
What?
front?
I believe we had them under a lease.
we,
a lease, I believe.
heart
5-year lease.
monitors were purchased over 5 years, and last year, it was for $1, however, 2 payments weren't made, the previous year, and that's why we had a negative 4,586.59 under the heart monitors.
So it's $4,000 a year for that, 5,000, say?
Yeah, well, 2 payments.
Yeah.
It was 2 payments, like
so
2,000
then-
something. So we thought they were paid off. It wasn't paid off until January, I believe, Nancy, and then it was $1 forgiven
January of last year,
of this year.
of this year, okay, so
We
that was
thought
in,
it was done in
so that was in,
December.
that was in your expenses of 272, so what would make that difference going forward? I mean, it might be an increase, right, the new ones might cost you more,
Yeah,
so whatever, I'd say they're 50% more, you said it was 2 payments of 5,000, so 10,000 for the year?
2,000 something, it was 45,86.59.
So it's safe to say at 50% more, it'd be $6,000.
It'd be $0. We thought it was 0 because it was paid off in December. However, there was a payment that wasn't made in December that carried over the new year, plus January was the last payment.
Well, so you paid extra last year. So this year should be the same payment?
0.
no, they're paid off.
They're paid off.
Oh, okay, so 2016 was paid for?
Yeah.
But because
These-
of
there was
new
these payments in these
technologies,
years.
Oh, okay, those 3 years,
right,
okay.
but
We're talking
because
about
of new
$4,000.
technologies, we may be forced to get
an update.
an update or upgrade.
Yeah, I'm certain, yeah. I'm sure they've come a long way in 5 years, definitely. and
On
more.
the, every month I show a cost, and hopefully it's not red, but there is some this year for September, which, the telephone bill, I put in 7,500 last year, and we are over $17.31.
Today.
So there's 3 more months of red there, and the other red is the heart monitor, which we didn't know. So, you know,
I certainly don't wanna begrudge you of any equipment, I mean, I might need a heart monitor, I'm a big guy, you know, I
Right.
mean, I certainly, want to have their
Health,
equipment.
same.
Yeah.
right,
But the other thing too, I don't know if you got it in the budget, I was down to see Sean the other day and the computer guy was there. And nothing's been done to those since,
He said they are ending their life cycle up to 4 to 5 years, however, he left me information that we can
put RAM in.
either upgrade them or get brand new ones. It's up to whoever.
Whose equipment are those? Are those the MVU's equipment or the rescue squad
I
equipment?
believe
I think
they're,
they're partly rescue,
Yeah.
resource recovery.
No, it's either not rescue, it's either rescue squad or MVEU.
It's rescue squad.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. And that's-
I believe they are, Massena Rescue.
Okay,
But, you know, yeah, there's a maintenance issue, I mean,
He gave me, I don't know if I don't think I brought it with me, but, I do have it that, he's willing to come in and maintain them for whatever. And with that, we get a new website, everything cause our website is old. Nobody's been able to get it fixed or rebuild it. Is that what he gave you the other day?
they,
Yeah.
Yeah.
upgrade or replace
thing.
workstation. For over 4 years old, he's suggesting a RAM upgrade that would keep them viable for the next 2.
And that would bring all of our computers up to date, up to, Windows 10.
Backup, he
And it
feels
would-
that there's no backup on it.
No, and that's another thing he brought up, that, there's no backup system for our computers. That would have to be,
An external drive or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so he's just suggesting
Yeah.
buying a external hard drive. And then, but the website, I mean,
that would be whatever
that's a MVEU
Yeah.
website.
And that's another thought like the blacktop, do you patch it up or you get a new one? Cause it's being 4 years old or whatever, that's pretty much all obsolete, you know?
right.
What's the upgrade gonna do, another year or 2 years or whatever, so.
That's what he said. He said that
2 to 3 years.
if we get them upgraded, it could last 2 years, could last 3 years.
what do we use the computers for?
Everything.
Charts,
EMS charts,
paperwork.
we do, he does his, inventories,
Chief,
we
use
Training,
everything.
Updates from the state.
Do you have a specific software for emergency services?
Yeah.
The EMS charts, yeah,
Okay.
That's where all our billing, or not, all our PCRs, it's not on paper anymore.
Right,
It's all done
everything's
to a
electronic,
computer and
yeah.
it's sent to the hospital.
All
to
electronic
the
health
records,
Agency.
So-
and we use, of course, we use them for the internet because we do training with them.
Training
Yeah,
sessions.
okay.
I mean, another question is how's your security, is that updated on that too? I mean, it should be pretty
That
secure,
was,
I would think.
I believe that's what would come with the upgrade on the
Okay.
computers.
Well, he's saying the Windows Defender that's part of Windows 10 is
Yeah.
added.
well, it's Windows 7.
Hmm?
Well, if we went with the upgrade, it would be, Windows Defender for the computers.
So, I mean, that's something that should go in,
Yeah,
maintenance.
and I'm sure if you look at this budget, like I told you the other day, if I drop 100 calls, if we leave that money in there, then it can go to that. But I would be here asking for that number of computers or repair, and this is where it would go. So, you know, no, I didn't put it in because I didn't know.
But I was ready for this. So, that being said, without an employee down there, under this budget, we have 2,500 for office supplies, 1,400 for miscellaneous, and then you have off expense at 5,000, correct?
Yep.
That's $8,900. That's not, we can't cover any of that, out of that? Maybe.
Yes.
No, that's my question.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
saying probably,
Okay, no, I'm not trying to be,
Right,
I'm
yes.
trying to be,
yeah.
that $8,900 is a substantial amount for, used for office stuff, that meaning computers.
Yep.
Mhm.
Perfect. Right, is that what you're
Yeah.
trying to say, Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So where are we at?
The other, I just had a question.
Sure, no, go ahead.
They have, you've got down here, 4,000 for retention. What is that?
It's the banquet and whatnot.
That's a banquet.
What's recruitment?
Activities.
3,000.
Recruitment is what we're spending for the different,
I can speak on
Different
that,
ways
Roger.
we
That
can
was
try and
changed.
get members
Yeah,
in
we-
it. you know.
yeah,
Went through
That
this
was a
while back.
discussion before you got on the board. Recruitment and retention, one of the biggest things the state's pushing for volunteers because we're losing the numbers. And that's where that comes in, where, you can they hold open houses, or they can do any type of that stuff to try to increase the volunteers. Or, you know, try to do something to keep the volunteer. So, I
See,
mean,
And I believe those are legitimate MVEU expenses, not Massena Rescue Squad expenses. The banquet member recruitment, member retention. I believe those are MVU expenses in my mind. Much like the stuff the volunteer fire department does for them, their members, the volunteers pay for it, not the village. So I think those, a couple expenses could easily fall under, be shifted over to the MVU, as an expense rather than for the rescue squad. Just my personal belief. And Tom, you know how the fire department does it better than I do, so you know more about it than I do.
I think that's my,
We're just, as far as, I guess we're leaving it the way it's proposed.